No, it's not. It's
That
not
doesn't
insane.
make
You're
sense.
attacking Trump for getting out of military service. Joe Biden somehow got out of military. I'm just wondering how you square your support for Biden, but yet you attack Trump on this point.
Former Congressman Adam Kinzinger goes on CNN and snaps after Scott Jennings exposes Tim Walz. So in this video, we're going to talk about it. Welcome to the DeVory Darkins Show. I am DeVory Darkins. You guys already know what to do. Like, share, and subscribe to the channel so we can get this out to more people just like you and me. So this former congressman, who was a Republican, by the way, Adam Kinzinger, interesting name. Just so you guys know who this is one of 8 Republicans who actually voted to impeach President Trump due to the January 6th riots at the Capitol. So he did end up leaving Congress in 2022. Just that's a little background so we know who we're dealing with. Now, Scott Jennings is the common sense conservative who always is on CNN, and he's usually fact checking and checking these woke liberals that come on. And so in this video, it's nothing new. And these two have a friendly debate about Tim Walz. So let's take a look at it.
What is your feeling on how Governor Walz has depicted his service?
I think it's just fine. I mean, look, first off, let me just say I'm scared to death that now anybody that ever served in the military is not going to want to run for office, because then they look over everything you've ever said and can you unfairly attack somebody for something, and then it becomes a headline story. So what are we doing here? We're discouraging people with service. Look, Tim Walz had every right after 20 years to retire from the Army National Guard. He chose to retire before his unit was alerted. He chose to retire while he ran for Congress. He had every right to do that. And it is absolutely insane that people would say otherwise. I mean, look, if he was leaving the unit high and dry, like some people are out there saying, the Guard can stop loss you, which means you cannot retire. You have to stay because they need that position. But as you mentioned, he obviously was replaced by somebody plenty capable. He did his 24 years, which is 4 years after 9/11, by the way. So he was always within a deployment window until he made a decision to quit. Everybody after 20 years has a right to quit. And we're not attacking J.D. Vance, nor should we, by the way, for not re-enlisting in the Marine Corps, because he did his duty and he was done. Well, this is the same thing with Walz right now.
Scott?
A couple things. Number one, I think anybody who puts on the uniform, Adam Kinzinger, Walz, Vance, and anybody else who puts on the uniform deserves our thanks. They're heroes. They protect our freedoms. And I think that ought to be said up front when we're having these debates. Number two, I think anybody who goes into politics is going to have their record scrutinized. I think it's pretty clear evidence laying out there now that at times Walz may have embellished his record. Now, you can decide that's not a big deal. You can say it is a huge deal. You can say you don't care about it. But when you go into politics, you are going to have your record scrutinized. It doesn't minimize the fact that he served honorably for over 20 years. But when you get into the political arena, everything you've ever done is going to be looked over. So I think it's fully appropriate for them to look at Walz's record. I mean, they're looking over everything J.D. Vance ever said about himself. I think they're going to look over everything Walz said about himself.
Okay, Scott Jennings, let me help you out here because I feel like he is being really nice and very polite, right? No, this is bullshit. No one's talking about that Tim Walz is wrong for serving 20 years and then he decided to retire. That's not the issue. The issue is the circumstances surrounding his retirement. And so what I'm going to do right now, guys, is bring up this thread from X that clearly articulates the timeline. So as we go through this video, we can compare and contrast, and you get to see how unhinged and delusional Adam is. And it's just sad because he is a lieutenant colonel, albeit in the Air National Guard. But let's go ahead and pull this up. All right, here we go. So this was created by an individual by the name of Ashley Hayek. And she did a really good job of detailing this, better than I probably would have done. But I'll be able to definitely translate this for you guys and make it easy to understand the timeline. So right now he's saying that he obviously served 20 years and that shouldn't be a problem. But here is the problem. So on September 10th, 2005, the Minnesota National Guard discovered that he did not fulfill his commitment and demoted him down to the retirement rank from E9 to E8. His official retirement grade and rank is E8, a master sergeant. But understand something. Listen to this. He falsely filed paperwork to retire as an E9 even though he knew he did not meet the obligations to retire as an E9. Understand, people at an E9 level, an E9 rank, these are high-ranking individuals. Okay, this isn't a private doing this. This is someone who's been in the military over 20 years. They know better. But let's continue the video.
You know, Congressman, just the sound from Walz saying that he carried a weapon in war. Do you take issue with that?
I mean, he probably shouldn't have said it. But keep in mind, when he was in Italy, he was actually probably technically under Operation Enduring Freedom, which was anybody that deployed to that area was part of a contingency operation, which is the war in Afghanistan. So I guess technically you could say it. He obviously shouldn't have said that. But that's one comment after 24 years of military service when he retired honorably. And I agree with Scott. You can expect to have your military record looked at. But where you should be attacked is if you were dishonorably discharged, if you lied about what you did for a job, or if you're running for president of the United States again, and when your country needed you, you let your country down by running away from the draft. You want to say that Tim Walz somehow avoided leaving, deploying with his unit and let his unit down? Fine. I totally don't agree. That's crap. But listen, Donald Trump fled the draft when his country needed him. He and J.D. Vance, who was his number 2, have no right to go after anybody when the number 1 on the ticket was too scared to serve in Vietnam and fake medical condition.
Anything in that, Scott?
Well, Adam was obviously a surrogate for President Biden before he dropped out of the race. I've always wondered, people who've attacked Donald Trump for getting out of his military service have explained Joe Biden getting out of his. I mean, he didn't really exactly cover himself in glory on this.
That has
point
nothing. That's insane.
No, it's not. It's
That
not
doesn't
insane.
make
You're
sense.
attacking Trump for getting out of military service. Joe Biden somehow got out of military. I'm just wondering how you square your support for Biden, but yet you attack Trump on this point.
Yeah, okay, good one, Scott. I mean, Donald Trump has made it
you have
clear
no
his
answer.
own-
You have no
his
answer.
own personal Vietnam. No, I mean you can sit there and giggle and laugh like a screwy guy, but like Donald Trump said his personal
I'm just waiting
Vietnam
for you to come up
was
with an
getting
answer to the question.
STDs.
Look, if
like,
you want,
it's crazy.
if you want to
He
attack
said
Donald,
he had bone spurs. It's insane.
if you want to attack Trump for getting out of military service, I think you ought to answer questions about how Joe Biden got out of it, and
listen,
you supported
Scott,
Biden.
I agree with you. But listen, Joe Biden is not attacking J.D. Vance or anybody else's military service. Donald Trump and his number 2 are attacking Tim Walz, who served 24 years when he didn't even bother to go to the draft.
Okay, so obviously there's a couple of things there. Is it a fact that President Trump did get out of the draft? Yes, because he claimed that he had bone spurs. Now, you could say that he pussed out. You could say that he bitched out. Whatever. I think that's up to anybody's opinion. The way that I see it is if I look at the totality of what he's accomplished and what he's contributed to our society, I don't have any problem with him. Obviously, he made something of himself. The other issue here is that he's trying to say, well, why would President Trump attack Tim Walz's military record and all this other stuff? Okay, listen, you guys need to understand something, and the Democrats need to understand something. When they lead with something, they need to stop expecting that people are not going to scrutinize or criticize it. They were leading with the fact that Tim Walz was in the military, served over 20 years, and retired as a command sergeant major. That's what they led with. So when people look to go fact check that, right, and then things are not adding up, it's absolutely necessary to criticize them because he was not a command sergeant major. He did not retire as a command sergeant major. I showed you guys the receipts on that. One more thing I want to cover and show you the receipts on is why are there people criticizing Tim Walz and saying that he quit on his unit? Let's read that really quick. Okay, so right here it says in 2003, then First Sergeant Walz, which was an E8, signed a statement of agreement and certification to attend the United States Army Sergeant Major Academy, where he agreed to serve for a minimum of 2 years after being promoted to Command Sergeant Major. And let's keep going here. In March of 2005, okay, so this is about, 8 months later, they were officially notified that they would be mobilized and deployed to Iraq. Now, the one thing that she is missing is actually back in October of 2004, the higher-ups, we call them, they did get a notification that a deployment was coming, but it didn't say when it would be exactly or where it'd be exactly, but it was a notification that a deployment was coming. And in March, it officially arrived where, hey, you guys are deploying to Iraq, and this is when you guys are deploying. And then May 16th of 2005, which is 7 months after assuming the position of Command Sergeant Major, he notified the unit that he processed his retirement papers, okay? The bottom line here on this is that on May 16, 2005, he notified the unit that he was going to retire. So understand the problem here. He'd already had a heads up the year prior that they were going to deploy. In March 2005, they got the official notification. And in May, he drops his retirement papers. You're not an E9, bro. You did not complete the academy. But hey, let's get back to the video with this deranged lieutenant colonel. So that's the bottom line. You know, he falsified paperwork, claimed to be a command sergeant major when he really wasn't. And you still have people that are deranged, like the former congressman, now a lieutenant colonel, Adam Kinzinger, going on CNN and basically embarrassing himself, getting checked by Scott Jennings. And Scott Jennings is absolutely correct. Why are you trying to show off your military record? That's a huge no-no when it comes to veterans. There's nothing wrong with collecting your awards and putting it in your room, in your office or your bedroom. I have mine be behind this camera, but I'm not going out every day talking about, yeah, I served in the military and I retired as this. Like, bro, nobody cares. And when you're running for office, it's really a huge issue because you know they're going to comb through everything. So, you know, that's a no-no on the Harris campaign. When they vetted him, they should have had him fix that on the website, get that all cleaned up. And then when they introduced him, we wouldn't be talking about this right now. We're only talking about it is because the Democratic Party led with this. Kamala Harris led with this. Tim Walz led with this. Hey, I'm a retired command sergeant major. So if that's what you're going to arrive to the party talking about, then the party's going to get into it. And what's good is good and what's bad is bad. And so you have these woke liberals, these people who are too emotional going on these news channels and trying to say, oh, well, it's wrong to be criticizing Tim Walz. No, it is not wrong. It is wrong that when they vetted him, that they didn't clean this up and make sure this wasn't going to be a talking point. They failed to do that. And it's also wrong that he put that campaign in this position to begin with. He was a command sergeant major, right? Conditionally. He was going to be one. He knows better. Okay, he knows better. But hey, some people, they have it in them to do stuff like this, and that's why stolen valor is a thing. And that is my mindset about this. What about yours? What do you think about Scott Jennings and what he had to tell the former congressman who is absolutely deranged? What do you think about the receipts I showed you tonight where he did falsify paperwork on his retirement, and he did absolutely retire after being notified that the unit was deploying twice? What do you guys think about that? Put your answers in more in the comment section below. Thank you for checking out the video today. Stay grateful, stay focused, and stay true. Peace.